Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Josh Thomas here, back with another first look course preview this week for the Honda Classic for Fanshare Sports, your number one source for ownership when it comes to DFS golf. We are ready to go for the Honda Classic this week. It is a big event at the PGA National, coming off an exciting WGC down in Mexico, where we saw the ultimate villain, Patrick Reed, take down the WGC. He seems to thrive on these sort of like everybody's on him. He seems like to really step up his game. And my lineups were looking great. I had some Patrick Reed, but not a ton. My lineups were looking really good when JT was leading, and then he had the classic JT Sunday collapse there. A lot of EVR. It was nice to see him have a good Sunday for once. It seems like whenever we back him on the European tour, he struggles a little bit on Sundays. So I think that's a big time result for him going forward. I think that's going to really sort of launch his career to the next level. This is a guy that wants to play on the PGA Tour, and he's going to start, obviously a sponsor exemption this week. I think a good result here again, give him some of those FedEx Cup points and can really lead him to being a big time player out here on the PGA Tour. Another thing about last week that I think that was really important to look at before we get into Honda here was and it's something that you can actually see on Fanshare Sports when you look back at some of the past tournaments. But a guy that I was really high on last week was Victor Perez. So obviously on Thursday, I was not feeling great about myself. He shot plus 10. A guy that's coming over from the European Tour is really crushed everywhere. Plus 10, really counted him out at that point. He really came back on the weekend and was in a pretty good position until he made a couple of bogeys on Sunday on his back nine. But, finished, I believe, 56th or 57th in the field, but was 39th in DK points. He had more DK points than Tommy Fleetwood, who finished in the top 20. So, or just a few less than Tommy Fleetwood, not more, sorry. But the importance of, again, we're here for DraftKings points. We're not here necessarily for where you finish in the tournament. Yes, there's some benefits and bonuses for that. But remember, it's about scoring, and especially in a no-cut event. A guy dead on Thursday is not going to necessarily be dead on Sunday. The one thing we did nail last week, if you watch this video, was our fade of DJ. DJ finished back in 55th as well. Really struggled on the weekend. And just, again, it seems like there's something there with his game, especially his wedge game. So let's get into this week. We got the Honda Classic. It's a very good event, but we're getting into a string of, really high class events now. We have the WGC. Honda Classic is actually probably the weakest event of anything coming up here, but we're going to go Honda, Arnold Palmer, Players, right? So I'm pretty excited about this stretch of golf that we're coming into. We're going to see lots of the world best back to back in weeks here, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So let's take a look here at the course. So again, exciting times at Fanshare. We got that course suitability metric that's been crushing. The lineup generator. Lunas has been putting in the showdown model every week every night, really compiling all the data for our VIPs. It's going to be on site right now. We just have it in the Discord, but if you are playing showdowns, like, that is invaluable. He is doing all the work for you and finding the best plays, and you can go in and plug and play from there. So shout out to him for really crushing it with that showdown stuff. And again, best ownership projections in the game. I think, the only one that we missed last week, and it was industry wide, was how heavy everybody was on Carlos Ortiz. And after day one, that looked like, for me to be underweight on Carlos Ortiz, I was feeling pretty good about myself, but he really came back and had a nice week and finished top 20 for a good result there. But that was really the only miss we had last week. Everything else was right on the money. So this week we were at the Honda Classic, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. This is at the PGA headquarters, at least for now. We have a new PGA headquarters being built over in Frisco, Texas, with a whole new course being built there. And I would assume that either this event or something else would be played there in the future. But we have PGA National. It's a par 70. 7,125 yards. We are back on Bermuda. We are done with POA for at least the foreseeable future here, and we are back on Bermuda. And there will be some guys who are extremely thankful to be back on Bermuda. It was this event last year that Keith Mitchell won, and prior to the event, he said that if he never had to play on POA again, he wouldn't be mad. So we get Bermuda here. It's Tip Eagle Bermuda on the green, Celebration Bermuda throughout the course, which is a George and Tom Fazio design. Nicholas has done 2 redesigns here, 2014 being the most recent Nicholas redesign. This is the host of the Bear Trap. Obviously, Nicholas being a designer here. We have 15 through 17, which typically plays three of the most the toughest stretch of 3 holes on tour. Lots of water, right? Course record is -24, which is actually like an insane score. You're going to see that here when we see some of the previous winners and what their scores were. But this course has gotten exponentially harder since 2003. I don't expect we see anybody around -24, and again, I think that has a little bit to do with sort of the class of golfers here. We're 2 years in a row now where we don't have a ton of class golfers in the field. So we're not going to see -24, but we do have water on 16 of 18 holes. That's insane. There are really only 2 holes on the course that don't have water. So 3, there's one that has water that if you pull a Harold Varner to the third top, you might end up into it, but otherwise guys don't really have to worry about it. But there's lots and lots of water on this course. You can have 2 bad swings in your round and miss the cut. Cut here last year was +3. The year before was +6, to give you guys some sort of idea. A lot of that does a little bit depend on the winds. We should get some wind at some point this week. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll hit you up in the Discord if we have any updates on that. But yeah, this is a course that you can be playing really good golf, get into the Bear Trap 15 through 17 there, and come out on the other side heading into 18. You can be 2 strokes inside the cut line and 2 strokes outside the cut line after those 3 holes. That's how dangerous those stretch of holes are. We talk about the winners here. Keith Mitchell -9 last year, held off Fowler and Koepka by a stroke. JT beat Luke List in a playoff on 18 there. Ricky Fowler, winner here over Morgan Hoffman, who just got the Courage Award. Good for him. Adam Scott, winner here over Sergio. Patty Harrington, man, it's crazy to me that back in 2015, Patty Harrington had a win. He's got 2 wins here. Daniel Berger, a guy that I'm going to be high on this week, definitely. Michael Thompson has a ton of good history here. Should be super cheap this week. I haven't looked that far down the scoreboard. Rory McIlroy, a winner here. So, but again, we're looking at single digits under par. A cut line probably over par. Maybe it's closer to even now that we have T60, but it's definitely a tough test of golf. So, we look here at last year, average play was, 0.057 over par, about a stroke over par on average for guys, for total. They 71.25, not super long. The one interesting thing about last year though is the Bear Trap, which typically, so like in 2000 when this played at 6 over par, or the cut line did, in 2018 when JT won, 15, 16, and 17 were all 3 within the top 50 toughest holes on tour. Last year, not so much, right? We're seeing that, they played just barely over par. So a little bit of that has to do with the wind. You get a crosswind in there. It's a very difficult hole to play, but it's not crazy. One thing, I can talk about that here. So you're going to hear a lot about the water this week. And when we think about that, a lot of times you think, okay, we got to be accurate. We got to be accurate off tee. But really, it's those second shots that you need to be accurate on. You can really get away with being in the rough here if it's not super grown up, which in the last couple of years it hasn't been. And I would assume that's what we're going to get again this year. That the rough's not going to be super long. You're going to be able to play out of it. And again, we're looking at, really average amount of rough strokes per round, fairway strokes per round, right in the middle there. Right up, almost essentially dead even average. So guys like JT and Luke List, when they won and got second, were 50, 60th in fairways hit, but were 4th and 5th in greens and regulation. So, you can definitely get away with not being super accurate off the tee here. I think what your benefit is going to be is being able to hit the ball long ways. You've seen guys like Michael Thompson have some success here, things like that. But really, Keith Mitchell, Brooks Koepka, even Ricky Fowler hits the ball a long ways now. So, the driving distance is 288. That's about average, but it's those, being able to hit a 3-wood, being able to hit, and not having to pull driver every time. So, and if you do pull driver, you can, and push it out there a long ways. So, greens and reg really low here, birdies per round, really low, pars per round, low, bogeys per round, very high. One of the most double bogeys on tour, again, because of all the water. Approach strokes, right? 175 to 200, 7% higher than average. 150 to 175, 2% higher than average. Again, if we can be hitting 6 iron, 5 iron in here, or 6 iron, 7 iron, 8 iron, 200 yards, we're feeling better about ourselves than having to hit 3 iron, 4 iron, 5 iron. So definitely, I think you give a boost to the Bombers this week. Looking at some of the event history, just at this event, we don't have a ton of appearances here, but Fleetwood obviously did well. Wyndham Clark, a guy that I definitely like. He bombs it. He putts like crazy. He just needs to have his iron game in shape, and he's there. Lucas Beauregard, again, look at all these DK points. These guys all pound the ball. You have to get down to KH Lee. He's not super short either. So, maybe a Yo Ishikawa, a guy that doesn't hit it a ton out there, but a lot of these guys are definitely bombers. I'm absolutely back on the Benny On train this week. He had a tough opening round where he lost 6 strokes putting, came back the next round, really played well the rest of the week, I thought. And I think this course definitely suits him. And then I just wanted to look at guys who have really crushed in Florida over the years. Again, 8 appearances, Tommy averaging 79.94. So the question comes down to, what do you do with Tommy this week? Because he's the highest priced golfer in the field at 11.6, which is, when you think about it, he's higher priced than Brooks Koepka, which is kind of insane. And I think that's going to keep his ownership down. I think people are just going to, jump on Brooks, which that's fine, but his game isn't quite what it's been the last couple of months. So I really like Fleetwood here. I think that you get some leverage on the field by playing him at 20-25%. I think that, early indications, at least from me, are that he's going to be underowned. Guys like Billy Horschel are going to be super chalky. And we're going to look at that here in a second. But Beauregard, Wallace, 3 appearances, did really well. And really, it was just his 3 appearances last year on the Florida swing. He really crushed. Fowler, hey, Sungjae, every week he's got to be in your lineups. Killa Keith, Justin Rose, though, 14 times here, 14 appearances in Florida, done really well. I actually sorted this Florida and Bermuda because there is some bent grass in Florida, but we're looking Florida and Bermuda here. Benny On, again, like I said, I'm going to be all over him this week. So I really do like Tommy Fleetwood to win this week. I think that he is world class. I think that this course really suits him. I think that the chalk donkey is going to be Billy Horschel. He should be super high owned at 9,200. And then my sleeper is going to be Wyndham Clark. And he might not end up being a sleeper. I'm sure guys will be on him this week. But it's definitely somebody who I am going to be probably overweight on the field. So if we look at the Fanshare Sports webpage, something I wanted to point out this week was, so if we look at Honda Classic, 2 things. So we can look, when I sort and I start to build my lineups, the 2 things I really look at are course history. And I just auto play these guys with green fire in my lineups, or they're getting in my player pool, and then current form. Current form, I don't necessarily always auto play them, but they're definitely in the look. So Beauregard, God, he's been really, unless they have a red here. If they have a red here, I'm really struggling to do that because it's likely that we're only looking at one sort of data set, or, him here last year. So Ricky, Glover, KH Lee, if the red's there, I'm probably not going to go it. Let's see who's going for current form. And then we're going to look at one more little data point here that, again, if you are a Fanshare Pro member, use code Josh, 20% off. You are missing out on this sort of data that you can just pull up like at a click, right? So current form, Berger, McNeely, Neesmith. Oh, love Neesmith this week at 7,200, right? He is a guy that definitely, I think you just need 5% of him every week. That's how good he is with his irons. If he ever figures out his putter, he's going to be in good shape. Grayson Murray, starting to find his game a little. Harry Higgs, I love. Johnny Huss been playing some good golf. Cam Davis. So, looking at this, we're not talking about super high price guys that are going to make your pool and make things work. So this little button right here, DK top 10. So this is going to tell you how often somebody finishes in the top 10 of DK points. Because again, like I said with Victor Perez last week, it's not necessarily about where you finish in the tournament. It's about DK points. That's what we want. So Brooks Koepka obviously smashing 42%. Louis 29, Sungjae. Let's see if there's any guys that pop here. Jay Rose 27.8. At 99, he probably is going to go under-owned. Eric Van Rooyen, 28. He's 9,000. I would imagine that he's going to be super chalky this week as well, and rightfully so. The guy's great. Tee to green. Zhang, definitely 23.1. Again, when we talk about guys who can score, typically, right, it's going to be guys that are good iron players. They are sticking it tight. They might, make a bogey here and there because they're a little wayward off the tee, but they're guys that can score. So some other guys that show up here, VJ, if you're not really sure, you might want to click on that player card and say, okay, where the heck has VJ been playing? So they're really only going off of Sony, Masters, Players, API, Honda last year. Where Honda last year, he really had a good tournament. So he's going to show up, 20% of the time, right? It's because of that one result. Because we're not going to go back really any further than a year, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20% of the time. Looks great. Not necessarily exactly what we're looking for. So DK talk 10%. It's really a good thing for when we are in the 7K range looking for value. That's something that I use to really differentiate my plays. So if you're not a member, like, you are super missing out. Unbelievable research tools here. That lineup generator is great. And then again, you get the best ownership projections in the game. I'll have my lineup construction article out where, again, I talked about fading DJ last week. Looked at, I'm not sure I mentioned Patty Reed, but I might have, because I know we were talking about how Patty Reed, had that motivation going for him and was going to be a little bit under-owned here. So again, make sure you become a Fanshare Pro member, 20% off. We got some exciting things happening here in the next couple months before the Masters, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it. So hit me up on Twitter at DFS Up North. You can check us out, fansharesports.com. We'll catch you on the flip side.